The Strait of Hormuz, at its narrowest point, just 21 miles wide, a constrained transit corridor where nearly one-fifth of the world's oil supply passes every single day. On the surface, this looks like a naval problem, a narrow waterway, heavy commercial traffic, potential for disruption, and a requirement for maritime security. But that assumption is incorrect because the Strait of Hormuz is not fundamentally a maritime problem. It is a land-based denial problem. The threat to shipping in the strait does not originate from vessels operating within the waterway. It originates from the coastline of Iran. Over the past 3 decades, Iran has developed a layered anti-access and area denial architecture specifically designed to control this corridor without needing to dominate it at sea. This distinction is critical because it defines the limitations of naval power in this environment. Iran's system is not a single capability, it is a network. A distributed set of overlapping systems designed to function even under sustained attack. This includes shore-based anti-ship cruise missile batteries, long-range radar installations, fast attack craft operating in swarm configurations, naval mines deployed across transit lanes, and most importantly, hardened underground tunnel systems. These tunnels allow missile launchers and support equipment to be concealed, relocated, and reconstituted within hours of being targeted. And this creates a dynamic battlefield, one where fixed targeting solutions are insufficient. The United States Navy, along with allied forces, possesses significant capabilities in this region. Carrier strike groups provide sustained air operations. Destroyers and cruisers deploy precision-guided munitions. Submarines offer covert strike options. Electronic warfare platforms degrade enemy targeting systems. All of these capabilities are effective, but they are temporary because they degrade the system. They do not eliminate it. A missile battery destroyed by a Tomahawk strike can be replaced. A radar installation taken offline can be restored. A launch platform eliminated can be substituted with another system emerging from a separate tunnel network. This cycle can repeat indefinitely, which means the operational environment never stabilizes. Shipping lanes remain contested, risk remains elevated, and commercial traffic cannot move with confidence. This leads to a fundamental distinction. Striking a position is not the same as controlling a position. Air and naval power can suppress threats, but they cannot maintain continuous physical control over terrain. And in the Strait of Hormuz, control of terrain is what determines access. Within the strait itself, there are 3 key positions: Abu Musa, Greater Tunb, Lesser Tunb. These islands are small in size, but they are strategically positioned directly along the primary transit lanes. Over time, they have been fortified with radar systems, missile launch platforms, fast attack boat staging areas, defensive garrisons. From these locations, Iran can monitor and engage shipping with minimal warning time. Control of these islands directly translates into control of the strait because they provide line-of-sight targeting across shipping lanes, forward deployment of strike capabilities, rapid response positions for maritime disruption. As long as these positions remain active, the strait cannot be considered secure. Neutralizing these threats requires more than remote strike capability. It requires physical seizure and control of terrain. This is not a naval function. It is a ground force requirement. The 82nd Airborne Division is specifically designed for this type of mission. It is a rapid deployment force capable of inserting combat-ready units into contested environments within 18 hours. Its operational model is based on speed, surprise, and immediate action, not sustained buildup. The doctrinal concept applied here is forcible entry. This involves inserting forces directly into defended territory and seizing key objectives before the defending force can fully respond. In the context of Hormuz, the objectives are clearly defined: island positions, missile infrastructure, radar networks. A potential operation would begin with coordinated suppression. Naval gunfire and airstrikes target known defensive positions. Electronic warfare disrupts communication and targeting systems. Once suppression reaches an acceptable threshold, airborne insertion begins. Transport aircraft deploy paratroopers across multiple drop zones simultaneously. Simultaneous insertion is critical because it prevents defenders from concentrating forces. Each island becomes an isolated engagement. reducing the effectiveness of coordinated defense. Initial objectives focus on missile batteries, radar installations, command nodes. Once initial resistance is neutralized, forces transition to consolidation. This includes securing infrastructure, clearing tunnel networks, establishing defensive positions. At this stage, control is no longer temporary, it becomes sustained. However, the islands are only part of the system. The larger challenge lies along Iran's southern coastline, a stretch of terrain extending over 100 miles. This area contains mobile missile systems, hidden launch sites, distributed naval assets. Air power alone is insufficient to clear this area because mobile systems can evade detection, relocate rapidly, and re-engage within short timeframes. This creates a persistent threat environment. Ground forces fundamentally change this equation because they can locate and destroy concealed systems, enter and clear tunnel networks, deny the enemy the ability to reconstitute. This transforms the operational environment from contested to controlled. Beyond the strait itself, there is a critical economic node, Karg Island. This facility handles the majority of Iran's oil exports. Its importance is not tactical, it is strategic. Disrupting this location impacts revenue generation, military funding, operational sustainability. However, destruction is not the objective. Control is, because control creates leverage. Seizing such a target requires integrated operations. Naval forces suppress coastal defenses. Air forces establish superiority, ground forces secure infrastructure. Each component is necessary. None are sufficient alone. Despite the operational logic, such actions have not been taken. There are three primary reasons. First, political cost. Deploying ground forces transforms the conflict. Second, escalation risk. Such actions reduce opportunities for de-escalation. Third, operational sequencing. Conditions must be prepared before insertion. At present, operations remain focused on surveillance, deterrence, limited strike capability. This maintains pressure, but does not resolve the core problem. The Strait of Hormuz cannot be secured through naval dominance alone, because the threat environment is not maritime, it is terrestrial, and until terrain is physically controlled, the system remains active. Naval forces can suppress, air forces can degrade, but only ground forces can hold. And in a system designed to regenerate, holding is the only way to achieve lasting control. The question is not whether the strait can be defended. The question is whether the cost of controlling it is one the world is willing to pay.